It's not the face you're looking for? Oh.
Not the face I'm looking for.
Okay. I'll try again.
Try that again.
The smolder. All right, let me fire up my stream here. What's up, Ghostdog's chat?
It's Guido so far, but we'll get a few more here shortly. I know a couple people said they were really interested to see what our breakdown was on this one.
Yeah. Sweet. I don't know if you watch many Call of Duty streams or anything at all, but
I watch them every now and then.
You've probably you've at least heard of Dr. Disrespect, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's one of the things he's always going, yeah. Oh. So if you ever hear me doing that, that's
what
why.
That is.
Yeah.
Got you. What's going on?
And he's from, I don't know if he lives in San Francisco, but he's a San Francisco 49ers fan. And he got to announce one of the picks in the draft this last weekend.
Oh, did he?
And when he walked up to the stage, he gets to the mic and he goes, yeah. Because that's one of the things he always does. The commentator guy was just like, he's like, and this guy's announcing the next pick. And as he leaves the stage, he's like, well, that guy's clearly a gaming streamer. I'll have to ask my son who he is. I was like, what? Don't know who Dr. Disrespect. I guess, yeah, you're showing your age there, but
showing your age just a little bit there, bro.
Yeah. What's going on, Jeff Morris in my chat saying maybe we get to Moon Knight in the last. Wait, maybe we will get to Moon Knight in the last episode. It has been a good series so far. Just needs more Moon Knight in it.
Yeah, he's definitely been MIA.
It's true. Khonshu's been gone for the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, Khonshu's been gone. There's no Moon Knight except for the brief moment that we'll talk about.
Yeah, we actually got a name drop finally of Moon Knight, so we do know that's his official name.
It's his official name.
In case we were wondering, based on the series title name.
It's a long intro. I'll go ahead and stop it now. It's a long music intro. Moon Knight should have had 8 episodes. You know, you're probably right. They could probably really use 2 or 3 more episodes to kind of expand on this. Definitely more Moon Knight. Yeah, definitely could use just a little bit more Moon Knight.
Just a little bit.
And even Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
And even Mr. Knight. Although we'll talk about today. So, welcome everybody who is here on my side. Welcome to those who are on Captain Bay's side as well.
Hello.
Welcome. So, let's we like to keep these right about an hour. So, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Yep. So, forewarning, spoilers.
Spoilers.
You guys are not up to date on Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Through episode 5.
Through episode 5. Yeah. Don't come here because we're going to spoil it.
Or if you're one of those people that likes to see spoilers ahead of time for some reason, I like to call you a crazy person. You got people do exist. It's up to you. You can hang out. You've been warned, though.
Yeah. So obviously the 6-episode season. This week's the last week coming up. Announcement that I believe we've already confirmed that Captain Bay, and myself will be on next Monday to do our full season breakdown, including breakdown of episode 6. So it won't be just our normal breakdown that we do on Mondays. We'll do the full one. I'll have to put on the pot of coffee and stay up just a little bit later than I normally do.
Yeah.
our breakdowns, and we'll get that in.
And we're not only going to be breaking down Moon Knight, correct?
Correct. We are going to be talking about some new Marvel movie coming out that I don't know if you guys
kind of been swept under the rug. Not a lot of hype about this one.
Not a lot of hype about it at all.
I think it's
Doctor Strange. I think is
Doctor Strange 2. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse or something. I don't even know. Multiverse
of WandaVision or something.
I think something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, but that's coming out this Friday or this Thursday night. But I'll be going. I know Cap's going to go see it Thursday. I'm going Friday. I think Cap's going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Monday.
I might go a few times. We'll see. If I wake up early enough Monday.
About it. Yeah. So there's that. So there's all that. So cool. We got that breakdown. Doctor Strange, that guy that got nerfed at MCOC. Yeah, I think they've talked about that a little bit.
There's a Doctor Strange in MCOC?
There's a Doctor Strange in MCOC.
Didn't know.
Yeah. Something like that.
I know
So
it's
there's that.
Superior or Sim Supreme or Sorcerer
Yeah,
Supreme. I didn't know there's a regular Doctor
Supreme.
Strange. Huh.
They're just a regular old, plain old Doctor Strange.
Interesting. You learn something new every day about a game you played
Every
for six
day.
years. 7 years? I don't even know.
Seven, yeah.
What year is it?
You thought it was called WandaVision 2, the movie?
Oh shoot!
Could be.
I've heard a couple people say that they went back and rewatched WandaVision.
I might go back and do that
I'm
before I
thinking
get out.
about it, but it's like I don't know. That was one show I did like. I rewatched it as it was playing already
I did too.
when it came out, and like I haven't done that much with a lot of the shows. I've kind of done episodes here and there. Like the Doctor Strange What If episode, I watched that one a couple times because I really enjoyed it. This last episode actually of Moon Knight, I rewatched it. It's the first episode of this season I've rewatched because this one was just so good, and I just wanted to make sure I grasped everything that happened. So even after watching a couple breakdowns, I felt like there were other things in there that they didn't mention in the breakdown because obviously they're not going to get to everything in their 10 to 15 minute video. I'm like I want to be able to talk about everything if we're going for an hour. So
yeah. So let's get into
let's
it.
do it.
We got it. We want to try to stay within the time frame. We've been doing good for 4 weeks, so let's get into that. Episode 5 named
The Asylum. Well, just Asylum, not The Asylum, but Asylum.
Yeah, Asylum. And I wonder why they call it that.
Actually, the obvious reason would be that, the asylum, it's, he's in an asylum and he's in an insane asylum. But it is a dual meaning of the name because an asylum is also a place where someone can go to escape, which is what we find out in this episode, that Steven was Mark's version to get away and escape from the bad stuff that's been going on in his mind.
Or was Mark Steven's version?
Or was Mark Steven's
all the horrible in the world?
Yes, to make right to make up for all the wrongs that his mom put on him, basically. And that there's a quote from Harrow in this episode that we'll get to that kind of basically breaks that entire thing down, which was really cool.
So we open up, I believe, inside of a cave.
Yeah, we open up at the cave and you just see water at the bottom of the cave. You hear a kid yelling, or kids yelling. Don't really get anything else other than that. Then it flashes to, you see a woman saying it's your fault, pointing finger and everything. And you're just like, huh, wonder what that could mean.
Right. So then at that point we flash back into Harold. Is it Harold's office at that point?
No, it flashes. It's like he starts yelling. He starts like screaming, and then it transitions back to the end of the last episode where they first run into Towret, and they're yelling into her, and then that instantly transitions into him yelling in Harrow's office again, and all of a sudden just like, what? Where am I? What's going on? He's looking around like all confused. You see he's all like bandaged up now. He's got scars, scratches.
He's got like
his face is all messed up, and you're just kind of like, okay, whatever. Then Harrow is quickly trying to like go through everything, be like, look, you're at this medical facility. You're here in Chicago. You've created this fantasy in your life where you're some kind of superhero, and he's just trying to like calm him down because he's kind of like frantic for a second. And then Mark looks at him and he's like, you're not a real doctor. And
he says, well, I feel real.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm real. I feel real. And Harrow asks him if he wants to continue talking about the little boy that he had started talking about. So this is the second hit now toward a little boy, essentially, with the first opening scene of him kid yelling. So, and he immediately kind of like rejects that and is like, no, I don't want to talk about that. And he kind of slowly starts getting crazier and crazier. Yeah. And like while he's talking this whole time, you're kind of just like, I don't know, he sounds different in my opinion.
Yeah,
he did. He grabs like some like glass statue or whatever on
like a glass pyramid thing.
Yeah, like looks like he's trying to go at Harrow, and then eventually tries to turn it like he's going to try to do end his own life or something. And he starts like, oh no, at first though he starts pretending like he's
Like
fine.
he's
Yeah.
fine. He's like, "Whoo, Doc, you're really
Yeah,
good.
you must
I feel
they
great."
must they pay you the big bucks kind of stuff. And
Right.
that's then he all of a sudden flips a switch and goes crazy mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't sound like himself.
They buzz
And
into disorderlies, and they stick him in the neck.
yeah, but
With the
it's
sedative.
so a lot of people are wondering if this is that third version of Mark or of the character Jake Lockley that has been teased throughout the show so far. Up until this point, last episode being teased in his own sarcophagus that they didn't open. And a couple points leading to that, the fact that one, like, why did he have all the bandages on his face? Like, when we've previously seen Mark in this asylum, he's been fine. Steven hasn't had any cuts and bruises or anything while he's been in this asylum. They've been totally fine. So why all of a sudden does this one have it? And then his voice, obviously, as we mentioned, he sounded
slightly different. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, if I don't know if you noticed this, and I didn't notice it at first. And I want to steal the thunder from another breakdown show.
Yeah, go for it.
But the office is the same room that was the tower that Steven fought the jackal in that he threw him out of, but except for now it's all light and brighter, and
he
even kind of referenced the room as I've been here before.
Yeah. And it also almost seems like they possibly used that same set to do Alexander the Great's tomb as well. So it could also be replicating of that. So all three of those rooms kind of could be representing their own kind of thing or something. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely looks like the same room.
So after they pretty much stick him with
they sedate him, knock him out. He wakes up and they're back with Toweret again.
Yeah.
They finish their yelling, and she basically tells that he jokes. He's like, "Oh man, thought I was dead," and she's like, "Oh well, you are. You are dead." And he's just like, "What? You're what?" And she's like, "Oh, hold on one sec. I've got a greeting." And so she gets all ready, clears her voice. She goes, "Welcome, gentle travelers, to the realm of the Duat, which is the Egyptian underworld, which we've been teased of earlier in the episode where they had the trial, basically. Khonshu accused them of just hanging out in the Duat, not wanting to help out humanity at all. So that was the first mention of it. Now we hear it again. Or me, I don't know if it was the first mention. There might have been other mentions, but that was the one I remember the main. And then Steven explains, like, at that point, Steven's just like, "Oh, the Duat." And he's like, "Oh, you're Toweret. You're the goddess of women and children, and she's here to guide us on our journey to the afterlife." And then Mark's like,
he says, "Oh, this is the afterlife."
Yeah,
afterlife.
And this, I didn't actually catch this on my first watch through. It wasn't until the breakdowns that I realized, like, what that I missed this. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then she goes, "Well, no, it's not the afterlife. You'd be surprised how many intersectoral planes." Yeah, oh yeah, it's an afterlife, not the afterlife. There's lots of other planes of unearthed conscious exists, like the ancestral plane. It's just gorgeous.
They made reference to the ancestral plane.
Yep, connecting it to Black Panther. Which was pretty awesome. So
Cam came in and said she was so busy during Infinity Wars. Cam, stop.
Oh gosh, all the souls that just showed up that took me a second. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what was she doing in Infinity War?
Yeah. What's up to Low Key? I want to say up to Manuel. Welcome guys to the stream. I appreciate you guys stopping in. And yes, we're just getting started. Manuel, you haven't missed anything. So we're right there. So yeah, she was definitely probably busy during Infinity Wars. You're probably right about that.
Yeah. Pretty busy afternoon for her. Probably took a little bit more than the afternoon if I had to guess.
Yeah. So Mark's like not accepting, like, what they said, I guess they said the afterlife could be anything that you, because the human mind doesn't comprehend it.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes different things, a
Yeah, creates
library, this
it.
or that.
Yeah,
He says an asylum. Steve says, "Why is our asylum?" He says, "Because we're
because
crazy."
we're crazy. And they both are kind of like, oh yeah, well, I guess. Oops. So then Mark's just like, what? If I go through here, am I going to see this? Blah blah blah. Just what's in here? And he goes out, and then all of a sudden he's on a boat, and he's like, whoa! It's like Noah's Ark or something.
Right. It's the
Talred.
boat. I forgot what they called the boat, but the boat is the boat that basically takes your journey that you have to take to get to the part of the
They're
afterlife.
heading to the. So yeah, Steven explains that they're on the boat that's taking them to the afterlife, the place that's called Aru, Aru or something like that,
Yeah.
where the Field of Reeds is. Then Tower that after like Stephen starts explaining that, Tower goes, "Oh, so you're the smart one." And then she explains like this boat will take you to the heavenly paradise, which they're only accepted into if their hearts balance. And then we see the scale there, and she explains how your heart has to be balanced in order to move forward into the afterlife.
For that of the afterlife, the souls will come claim you if
Yeah.
you're not bound.
And so she's just, and then she goes like, "There's just one thing that I need to do," and then she just like reaches in and yanks their hearts out, and they're just like, "What?"
She was gonna explode their chest.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Oh, it worked. Oh, cool."
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't kill you even further.
Yeah. So put them on the scales, and to no one's surprise, they are not balanced. Well, whilst that's kind of happening, Mark and Steven kind of walk off to the side, and Mark's just like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna kill the hippo and take control of the boat. Like, what? why is that?
Is that the name of the boat, Cam? Cam comes in and says Kalima. I think that's the name of the boat.
Maybe. Yeah. Or the name of the journey, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Or that, yeah.
One of those two, probably. But the scale ends up not balancing with their hearts. And she even said when she first pulled them out, she's like, they feel like they're not full. Yeah. And then she explains to them, like, you need to go back inside, try to balance their scales. Whatever you're holding back from each other, go spill the beans. Spill the beans, basically.
Yeah. So they go back inside and they start taking a journey. CKM says that was the chant from Indiana Jones where the dude's heart got ripped out. We're not talking about Indiana Jones, Cam. That's why I look. It's been years since I've watched Indiana Jones.
Dude, same.
I got too many movies in my head to think about Kalima. Don't be disappointed. Don't be disappointed. So they go back inside. They start talking about, well, we got to go figure out what's going on. Let's go back in here and go figure it out.
Yeah. And she explained that inside are all of their memories. And so then they start going from door to door, and they're seeing all these different memories. Mm-hmm. We see the bathroom scene of Moon Knight, who name of the show is after. We actually see him.
That's one of the times we see him in this episode.
Yeah. He's beating up the jackal again in the bathroom. Then we jump over to the scene where Khonshu and Mr. Knight were turning back time in the stars. So that scene, and Mark obviously hadn't seen that, so he was kind of seeing that. He's like, "Whoa, cool! Like that's pretty awesome." And then Steven sees a memory of Mark standing next to a car drinking, and he's like, "What's that one?" And Mark's just like, "Oh, don't worry about that one. Just don't worry about that.
It's a street. It's a street." Haven't you taken a walk down the street before?
Yeah. I just got a super chat from the Brian saying that send over $1. Thank you, man. Saying the little detail where Oscar Isaac as Grant is terrified by the hippo, but still waves back is the stuff of acting legend. Yeah, dude. Oscar Isaac has been phenomenal.
He's been phenomenal.
He's so good. Like, being able to play both of these different personalities to perfection, and a very distinct difference between them, and even this third one that we think we're seeing, but it hasn't been fully revealed yet.
Yep.
Like the guy's awesome, and he's in Star Wars too. He's great in there. Like he's he's definitely a stud.
Put on, J. Will.
So
so they're looking at the street, and he's like, "Don't worry about it." He comes across one more door.
Well,
this is a calf with,
well, they hear it. He hears another kid. Yeah, he hears the kid yell, "Help!"
He hears the kid. Yeah, the kid yell for help, and he says, "Do you hear that?" And he says, "Don't worry."
So he goes running off.
Yeah.
Comes into a cafeteria where they find a bunch of corpses, basically.
Corpse. Yeah, dead corpse. And he says, "Oh, whose body counts when you tag this one?"
He's like, "I wonder which room this was." Oh, I forgot one thing too. As they looked into the room or the door that had him standing by the car, we got the QR code next to the door there, which we hadn't seen one of those. It wasn't in the last episode or the one before that, I think.
Or before that, when he was in the first two.
Yeah.
Not the
so this one leads us to the first ever issue of Moon Knight as a solo comic run, I guess, is what I heard. So I didn't read it, but I pulled it up, so I have it. Maybe I'll read it eventually. I don't know.
Take a glimpse at it.
Yeah. They enter the cafeteria where they see a bunch of these people sitting in this cafeteria that are all just like motionless, white eyes, like clearly like zombie people.
Not alive.
Yeah. They're all just kind of walking around, like trying to figure out, like, but then the scale shows up there. Again, they see the scale.
And then you hear Mark say, like, he says, no.
Yeah.
He starts like naming off the cities. And Steven's like, wait a minute, you remember all of them? He says, you take somebody's life and see if you don't remember the name.
Yeah. See if you don't remember. And then after he kind of reveals that, the scales start to balance a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Did I put this in right? Okay.
I don't know. What did you put?
I just made sure I put the name in right of the super chat from the brain. Thought I said I might have typed it in as Brian. Just wanted to make sure. All right, where was I at here?
So the scales start to bounce, and then Steven says, "Mark, why is there a little boy in a room?
Who's that? Like, don't tell me.
A bunch of people that you've killed."
Yeah. And then he's just like, "Steven, don't. Steven, don't." And then Steven, of course, does and runs off. Chases the kid, takes him to another room where he hops into another memory. Steven slams the door in Mark's face because he's just like, "Screw you."
Trying to keep him out of it. Yeah. I'm going to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
He locks the door. Mark's banging on the door, but Steven's clearly is now fully invested into what this next part of the story is. They walk around the corner to see a young Mark.
Well, he turns around and the first thing he sees is his mom. He sees his mom and he's like, "Mom."
Oh, yeah, his mom. Yeah, he's like,
"Oh, Mom, you're here." Yeah. And then she says something like, "Mark, stop messing with your little brother," or says something, and then he looks over, he's like, "Brother? I have a brother?" Like, what?
Right.
And then they decide, like, Mark's like, "Hey, you want to go do this?" Or they decide they're going to go run off and mess around in the woods for a little bit.
He's like, "I'm not really hungry. I'm going to go play in the cave."
Yeah. And as they're leaving, he yells, "Later, skaters," to his mom, who his mom replies with, "After a while, crocodile."
Also tells him to protect his brother.
And yes, protect your brother. Protect your brother. You're the older brother. Protect your little brother. Everyone who is an older brother knows this duty. I am not an older brother, but I still understand the concept, basically. You most likely get blamed for everything as the older brother.
Everything that it went wrong, you get blamed for as the older sibling.
Yeah.
Yes, I know all too well.
So as they're walking through the woods, we hear them doing a little bit of role play. Not that kind. And they're quoting that Tomb Busters movie that we saw in the previous episode, where they're pretending to be Stephen Grant and Rojo, or whatever his name is. And as they run off, Steven steps on the bones of a bird that look very much like how Khonshu has been projected in their mind.
Correct.
So I'm wondering if that's where he gets that where that's why he sees Khonshu the way he does, because he's reminded of his his things he's done wrong in his past because of Khonshu or something like that. So
Yeah,
then they enter.
that part there was a little bit of a reach for me, just because
Yeah, I don't know if I fully.
it's like the
Yeah,
boys didn't see it, but Steven's seen it.
yeah,
Like, and people were, if you listen to a lot of breakdowns, they really reference this dead bird. Like,
yeah.
we get
I'm
it;
just like,
it
I don't
looks
think you
like
need to tie
Khonshu.
in a lot to the bird. Like, I don't think that's going to be something that comes up in the next episode.
Yeah. So, but they move on to the cave, and it starts. Oh, it had started raining prior to them getting to the cave, and you know, the brother's like, Mama said we shouldn't go in there when it's raining. And he says, it's not. He says something along the lines, it's not that bad. Stop being a scaredy cat, and tells them to come on. And as they enter the cave, Stephen follows them in and says,
He kind of
he's like
starts to
telling
pick up on like what's about to happen,
what's about
and
to
yeah,
happen. He's like, lads, you guys shouldn't be in here. Come on out.
yeah.
It's dangerous.
I think
By that time,
the second we all saw like, oh, he has a little brother, we all instantly knew like, okay,
right?
his younger brother dies. Like
Yeah,
that was pretty straightforward. And then
which
we see
was
the
different than
cave
the
and we're
comic.
like, oh no. Then we see the water and we're like, oh no, that's even worse.
Yep.
But yeah, it is different from his comic book version of his brother, who goes on to be an adult and actually becomes like an anti-hero and his own version of a superhero as well, or something too. I think
Shadow King,
Shadow
Shadow
Knight
Knight,
or something.
something like that. Yeah.
So, but they decided to totally change that up, I guess. So then we basically they allude to the fact that his younger brother unfortunately drowned. Very sad. And then the next scene, it jumps to him walking into. Oh no, it's then we flash back to Mark, who's back walking through the memories, trying to like get through one of the doors to find him. Then the one appears of his brother's funeral,
Yep.
which they
And see
called it.
Steven in there.
Yeah, which they called a Shiva, which I guess is the Jewish name for a funeral.
Jewish name for a funeral.
And so he walks in, he sees Steven, tries to start explaining to him, and then younger Steven starts walking down the stairs. His mom sees him, starts
Younger Mark.
Younger Mark. Starts yelling at him. He's like, "You were supposed to keep him safe. This is all your fault." Like clearly
literally
traumatizing.
Like the worst parenting,
Yeah,
worst parenting ever.
like this little kid already had to go through watching his own brother die, thinking it's all his fault, and now his mom hates him and it's yelling at him in front of all of their friends and family, and just making things even worse. So he runs back up the stairs.
Young Mark runs back upstairs. Steven tends to follow him, where the stairs take him up different levels, and it wasn't that it was taking him up to upstairs; it was taking him to the next part of the memory.
Yeah, another memory.
So he went from seeing that to following Mark upstairs to in pretty much the same room, if I'm not mistaken.
Seemed like it.
His dad and him young Mark sitting at the table.
Yep. His dad like calling upstairs like
to his mom.
What was her name? I have it written down here somewhere. I can't remember the name of the mom. I know I have it written down. But anyways, he's yelling up to her like, "Come on, come downstairs. It's his birthday. Like, come on, let's celebrate together." She's not coming, and he just tries to be like, "Well, she's not feeling well or whatever."
Right. So they celebrate that part of the birthday without her, and then Steven goes up another set of steps to
it's another birthday.
Yeah, another birthday where mom actually came out.
She's here this time, but she double fisted. She's walking with the bottle. She's got her sip here.
Yeah, she got a drink in one hand and a drink in another.
Yeah, and she says to Mark, she says, "You've always been jealous of your brother," and blames him again, saying, "I should have known you would have done something. You would have done something like this." Again, just pouring it on him, clearly showing that even though this is a few years down the road now, she still is not over it. I'm not to say that a parent should just move on from something like that. It's obviously an awful situation, but to continue blaming your child, she wasn't accepting that I still have one child. I need to be there for this child. She's just full on using him as her scapegoat for everything, basically.
Everything.
Which is, I'm no parent, but
I
feel like that's not good parenting.
Yeah, that's not great parenting. I am a parent,
Just,
it's not something that you do. You don't, you don't abandon a child,
yeah,
to sulk in whatever you sulk in, and
yeah, yeah.
so on and so forth.
Unless they
Like they
deserved it.
never really, yeah, and so they go. They go to another? He pulls Steven out.
So, well, first off, actually, the brain here in my chat saying, "Not gonna lie, Khonshu offered me something once, but there were no Dippin' Dots in return, so I gracefully declined." That's a smart decision. No Dippin'
Very
Dots.
smart
I am
decision.
out. And
Why not?
for
If
that
there's no
reason,
Dippin' Dots, why
I
would
am
I
out.
do this?
What's the point? What's the point?
So you do this for free?
So he goes upstairs one more time. He's about to enter his bedroom, and right before he does, Mark yanks him, pulls him out, and they fall into another memory. Now they're on a street, and Steven's yelling at him, like, "What's in there? Let me in there! Like, let me. I need to see what's in there." And Mark's like, "No, you don't need to go. You don't want to go in there. You can't see that. You don't need to know about that." Blah. He's trying to calm him down, and then as he's like trying to get him under control, they see now teenage version of Mark. Basically looking like he's running away, leaving like, "Look, she's never gonna accept me." Clearly now, many years down the road, still seems like the mom is just being a total B word.
Making my life miserable in the process.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go ahead and go do this army thing.
Yeah.
And I'll and Dad's like, "Well, we'll get her help." He's like, you were supposed to already get her help.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And there was a weird little picture kind of behind Mark during this scene. If you didn't catch that, it was like a guy falling down a hole.
Oh, I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, it's a guy falling down a hole. It's very, very symbolic to what was going on here. Is they were falling down the rabbit hole and catching all these different memories.
Gotcha.
And Mark was opening up to Steven, letting him know what's going on, without still really telling him what's really going on.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of, at least that's what I thought about it. There could be other meanings behind it. There were some other meanings, like they were talking about all the bodies that fall through the hole down to the to the duat. There's a lot of different reasons that people were breaking down, but that's what I thought when I seen it.
Gotcha. So after that scene of the teenage version of Mark basically running away to the military, Steven tries again to fight back and get back to the room that he was dragged away from. Mark grabs him and they fall then again into another memory. And this one is now they are on out in the desert at the dig site where Layla's dad was killed. And
you kind of hear more of the story at this point.
Yeah.
On this one, because
Mark explains how
he was actually trying to help them escape, and his partner,
his old CO Bushman is what he refers to him as, which is comic accurate. The Bushman character from the comics is the one that killed his love interest dad, I think is what it was. I don't think it was necessarily Layla in the comics.
Right.
So yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, where were you in all this?" And then he's like, points like right up here. And then we see the tomb of Khonshu as he drags himself on the ground up to him. And then we get another pretty dark scene here where Mark has clearly come to the point where he's like, "I've been shot. I've done awful things. I'm just ready to end it." So basically puts the gun there. And then right before Khonshu, all of a sudden we hear Khonshu's voice being like, "What a waste." Yeah. And he's just like,
"Wait, what? Who said that?
What?
Yeah. You're in my life.
What's going on?" And then we hear Khonshu starts explaining. He's like, "I feel the pain inside of you." Tells him he's in search of a warrior to be my hands, my eyes, my vengeance, to be my final word against the evildoers. Basically saying like, "Look, there's a lot of bad people out there that deserve to die, and you can help me get rid of these people if you agree." Tells him also, he says, where did it go? It says, "I feel the pain inside." Oh, and I already heard that.
Yeah, feel the pain inside.
He says your mind is fractured. he finds it fascinating, and because of that, it makes him a worthy candidate to serve him.
Sounds like he almost needed a
To which
weak-minded person.
to which on someone who is basically on their deathbed, it probably seems like, well, this guy's going to save me. We could do some good by this by getting rid of these bad people. Yeah, sure. But Steven sees it more so like
As
he's
manipulation.
manipulating you. He's taking advantage of you because you were so broken at this point, and he's using you to take out his vengeance on these people. So he's like manipulating you from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark agrees, and we get the pretty badass moment, which I made in my thumbnail though, where he goes, "Rise, rise and live again as my fist of vengeance, as my Moon Knight."
Knight.
And then
That's the only
gets the
time in this
whole
episode so far we've gotten the Moon Knight
yeah.
name.
And we see Moon Knight again in the series once again, so that was pretty cool. We've seen him like 3 times now. We got a finale tomorrow, or 2 days.
A couple days from now, yeah.
So yeah, then let's see. Then they feel, I think they have they hear some like shaking or whatever going on.
Yeah, they feel some shaking going on, and
so then they go back to the boat side of this memory or world where the Duat, whatever they're on, right? I think
that's the Duat, the boat for the Duat in the Duat, and they see like the monkeys, which are quote unquote guardians of the underworld, as well as they see just random souls or souls falling.
Towret explains. She says that fear is spreading in the upper world. Unbalanced souls are being judged and condemned to the sands before their time. So basically, they're like, "Oh crap! What's the
Harold must have released Ahmed."
Yeah, Ahmed's been released basically, and then Mark and Steven are like, "Look, you got to bring us back. We got to get back there to stop him. We're the only chance of stopping him, because clearly none of the Avengers are available right now." And
clearly there's not a single Avenger.
There's not a single other superhero human. Doctor Strange seems to be occupied at the moment.
This must be the area where the Avengers were never formed.
I'm sure Doctor Strange has no recollection of any of this, what's going on. This is clearly not a global thing yet.
Nope.
And the stars moving, everything, you probably didn't see any of that.
Nothing. None of that. None of this was. Doctor Strange wasn't even there yet.
So
he was still studying to become a doctor.
Yeah. I guess we don't technically know what the time frame is of this show yet, do we? Have they given us anything on that?
It's at least after 2019, 2020, because their passports have those dates.
True. Yes, but I don't think they've ever made reference to like the snap or anything, right?
Yeah. They said that whoever Mark was, he survived the snap because his passport issued was. But then we
found out the Forged episode. Forged,
Forged, where they opened up with forging the passports. So we don't know when the actual time is. During this time frame.
Or if he got snapped. Yeah,
we're gonna guess that it's at least after 2020.
Yeah. So they convinced Towret to turn the boat around to try to attempt to bring them back, because she's even just like, even if I bring you back, you're just going to go to a body that has bullet holes in it. Like, you're still dead. She's like, we still need to try, whatever. And she's like, fine. And then turn the boat around.
To find Layla to find Khonshu to release Khonshu and help us.
Yeah. So she tells him, he's like, you guys need to go back into the memories, though, because the scales still aren't balanced. If you don't get them balanced, you're going to get taken away either way, and there's nothing I can do to stop that. So go figure your shit out, basically. So then
they go back in.
And Steven instantly again wants to go back to that bedroom. He's like, I need to see what's in there. Like, that's clearly got to be.
We don't have to. Mark's like, we don't have to go in there. I'll just talk to you about it. We'll just talk about it. How about we just talk about it?
Just me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, you don't need to go in there. It's not worth it. And then when he says it's not worth it, that's what really triggers Steven. He's like, it's not worth it. You're about to lose everything. Right. Like, people are going to die. Layla's going to die. That will be your fault, Mark. Like, that's on you. It's really kind of laying into him, like, how can this not be worth it? Like, we have to do something. And that's when Mark all of a sudden loses it, starts screaming. He's like, no, 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 you
no. It
can't
starts
make
slapping his
me,
head.
you can't make me do it. And he's like slapping himself in the face. You're just like, whoa, what the heck? All right. And then he pops back up in the asylum in Harrow's office.
Yep.
And this is when we get the first kind of hint. Well, maybe not the first hint, but another nod toward what gets revealed later on. He says, Harrow asks Mark, says, do you think you've created Steven to hide from all the awful things you feel you've done in your life? Or do you think Steven created Mark to punish the world for what your mother did to you? Basically asking the question that everyone's been asking, like,
who made who?
Who came first, Mark or the Steven? Chicken or the egg?
Basically, based on the memories, we all knew at that point in time, Mark came first.
Yes, because it's pointed out that in all the memories, everyone refers to him as Mark. And of course, we know at this point too, I feel like it was kind of revealed a little bit earlier on that Steven was the created one because of that Tomb Raider show, or whatever the movie was called.
Tomb Busters.
Tomb Busters. Yeah, we find out the main character in that is called Stephen Grant. So at that point, I think we all kind of figured out, like, okay, Mark is clearly the real one, which was pretty much. And if for those that hadn't read the comics, who didn't already know, I guess. So, Harrow. Let's see.
Harrow actually basically tells him to open up to Steven.
He's basically honestly tells him the same thing that Towerhead has been saying, like, look, you both need to be open with each other, like, both of you need to know what's going on, all of it, like, open up to Steven if you want to make any progress. So then finally he's like, all right, allows him to go in.
Well, one thing we did cover, Steven definitely had a thought about their mom, that he faced his mom in a different light than Mark faced his mom in, because Steven asked Mark, why are you acting like mom was like that? That's not the way she was.
Yeah.
This is the way she was.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, I know we're getting ready to come back to that scene, so I want to kind of
I think that was in the scene when she was like yelling at him, like blaming him. She's like, "What? This isn't how she was. That's not what she was."
Right.
Yeah, you're right. So then we finally get into this room, which is Mark's childhood room.
He's sitting there up against the dresser.
Has the door shut. He's like curled up in the corner. And what does he say? He's saying, "It's not my mom. It's not my mom." She's like banging on the door, like, let me in, let me in. And he's just like, it's not my mom. It's not my mom. And then in that moment, he creates Steven. You see the whole transition scene, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, speaking with an accent. He's like, oh, look at this mess. I need to clean this up.
His mom found it like this. She'd have a, whatever he said, like she'd have a pickle or something like that.
Yeah.
I praised it. Basically, that's
some British way of saying things, I feel like.
Yeah.
Those weirdos over there, you know.
Very strange people over there.
Oh, yeah. So then,
we love you all.
Yeah, no, we love you anyways, though. So then at that point, Steven's like really like pained. It's like, oh my gosh, this is you created me. He sees the poster on the wall with the name Stephen Grant on it, and it all just clicks for him all of a sudden, and he's just like turns around. He's like, you created me. Like, what? And as the mom, oh, here it is, Wendy. His mom's name is Wendy. I know I had it written down somewhere. The mom.
Someone said Nancy. Yeah, but Wendy.
Mom gets in, grabs a belt. Clearly, we all know what's happening. What's coming next?
Yeah. He pulls Steven out the room and says, "You weren't meant to see this.
Yeah.
You were never meant to see this. That's the purpose of you.
That's the point of you." Yeah. But one thing to point out there is right before his mom comes in there, he turns into the Steven character, but yet Steven doesn't have this memory of this happening, it seems.
Right.
So, and did he just go back to Mark to take the beating, or does the Steven character is the Steven character incapable of remembering evil, like bad things that his mom does to him,
So think
Or
about back to episode 1 when Steven was they were trying to get the scarab from Steven, and every time he got ready to get into a fight to get the scarab, they could get to fight to get the scarab, he would turn to the mark and get
true,
it back.
true.
So I think
or we don't even know for a fact that that was Mark that he turned into.
It could have been Jake.
Could have been Jake.
Whatever it was, it wasn't Steven.
No, it wasn't Steven. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of thing, like he turned into the Steven character was created right then, but he also doesn't have memory of this
and he
moment.
Read the poster. He read the poster on the Tomb Monster poster when fear is near, or when bad stuff is near, Stephen Grant has no fear.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of where they made the Stephen Grant name up from.
Yeah.
So.
You weren't. Oh yeah, and then he tells Mark saying like you weren't meant to see that. That's the whole point of you. And then Steven's just like, no, that's not how she was. And then he's like, what? You got to live. You got to grow up, have a great life. You don't
got a mom that loved you, so on and so forth.
You don't want to remember the truth. You don't want to remember the mother that beat you, that hated you, and that made your life a living hell. You got to live thinking she loved you, that she was kind, and that she was still alive. And that set Steven off because he's like, what? What do you mean?
What?
She's still alive. Like, of course she's alive.
She's still alive. I talk to her every day.
Yeah, I call her every day. Like, what?
I think that triggers him to the point where he wakes up in Mark's body in Harrow's office. At the time he wakes up in Mark's body.
Then he refuses to believe it. He's like freaking out. And then same way how Steven was yelling earlier saying, no, and he shows up in Harrow's office. Same thing happens here with Steven. He's like refusing to like listen. He's like, no, it's not, you're lying to me. And then he shows up in Harrow's office. And Harrow all of a sudden realizes that he first shows up and he's like spilling water on him, and Steven, being the nice person that Steven is, he's gonna see like apologize, like, oh, I'm so sorry, and trying to help clean him off. Yeah, Steven. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I never thought I was going to talk to you again.
Yeah, and at this point, he's just kind of like, oh, Dr. Harrow, and he's now remembering earlier when Steven referred to him as Dr. Harrow when he was talking about these meds are really good. And all that kind of stuff. He's like, oh, okay. And Steven's picking up like, oh, this is what he was talking about. And he's kind of looking around the office. He sees his diploma or whatever.
Yeah, he saw
or a certificate. And he sees that it's like it doesn't have anything on it. He's like, clearly like, okay, this isn't real.
It's clearly not real.
This is fake. And he's like, calls him out. He says, oh, calls him Ned Flanders.
Calls him Ned Flanders because of his mustache.
Yeah. He's like looking at the mustache. He's like, oh, it's a nice little mustache.
This little tash you have there.
Yeah.
Very Ned Flanders.
So then he mentioned something about like that they came here to this facility after his mom died. And then again, he's just like,
Steven brought him in.
Steven's like,
not Mark.
Yeah. He's like, my mom, well, are you having a laugh? Like, well, my mom's not dead. My mom's still alive. Again, freaking out. Harrow's like, whoa, back down. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Let's give her a call.
Yep, let's give her a call.
He tells the receptionist, which was the name of the lady
that he asked out.
He had a date with. Yeah. To give mom a call.
Mm-hmm.
And he acts like he's talking to the mom on the phone. Yep. He says, Steven.
Well, while he's doing that whole thing too, Steven already at this point, you can see that he's
accepting.
He's trying. He doesn't want to accept the truth because I feel like down deep he knows now at this point that she is dead. But he's just like, no, don't disturb her. She's busy. She screens her calls. Like, no, just leave her alone. Like, don't call her. Right. And then he's like, Steven, you want to talk to her? And then he finally admits like she's dead, which was a very sad moment. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, the guy thought that his mom was alive, you know, and that's how he felt.
Mm-hmm.
And come to terms finally to realize that she wasn't alive. I'm sure it was a very troubling thing. On top of the fact that he found out that he also isn't the original.
Yeah, he's not even real.
I'm not real, and my mom is dead. Like, what's the world coming to?
Things come in threes. Wait for it. So then we go back to the scene the memory we've seen earlier when they first look at the memories, where we see Steven standing outside of a car, taking a sip out of a flask, which turns out to be that was the day of his mom's funeral. And he can't allow himself to go inside. He just walks off anyways, starts drinking again, and then he just breaks down, starts bawling, goes onto the ground. He's like punching the ground. And then I think he just wants to.
He doesn't want to feel the pain.
Yeah, he doesn't want to feel the pain. He wants to get away. Again, going back to the whole asylum thing, wants to go to a safe place, wants to get away from things. Allows Steven to take over, and Steven, of course, has no idea where he is. He's like, oh, I've done it again. I'm lost. Calls his mom, who, again, super sad to see, like, he's calling for his mom right outside of her own funeral. Then he just wanders off. And Steven and Mark have that conversation where Mark's like, look, Dad called, reached out to me. She died. This was 2 months ago.
Yeah. He couldn't bring himself to walk into.
So yeah, I couldn't
to mourn for a woman that hated him so much.
Yeah, exactly. So then Steven at that point realizes, like, hey, look, all those horrible things that she did to you, that Mother said to you, saying it's your fault. It wasn't your fault. You were just a kid. Tries to make Mark realize, like, yes, this happened, but just because she put it all the blame on you doesn't mean it was your fault. Trying to make Mark accept it, basically.
Right.
Then they hear the ground shake again. They're just like, oh, more, what's going on up at the boat?
What's going on?
Hop up to the boat.
They said the gates of Osiris, I think is what they said. And so they run out to the boat, and they see that they're there. And Tara says that she's never seen the gates this close, and basically says, although we've made it here, your heart is still unbalanced.
The scales never balanced. So the unclaimed souls of the Duat must claim yours. Yeah. Then we see all the past victims that we saw earlier that Mark killed start climbing up the boat, trying to drag him down like they're zombies. And while Mark's trying to fend these people off, Steven just kind of backs off, and he's obviously being Steven. He's not like a go-getter.
Well, he tells Steven to get behind me.
Yeah.
And he tries to fight him off, and then Steven's like, oh, he's like, you can do it. And he's like, well, if you can do it, I can do it too, because I'm you.
Because at this point, he's kind of come to the acceptance of, like, you just created me, so anything you can do, I can do better. No. But it basically is saying essentially that, though. He's like, if he can do it, then I can do it, because I am him. So he moves the whole boat, uses the paddle thing or whatever to sway the whole boat. A bunch of them fly off. Then he goes and grabs a paddle, smacks him right in the face, and then
he yells 6.
6, yeah. And then we're all just like, I had no idea what it meant. And then he goes,
I had no idea what he
said. I'm more of a cricket, more of a cricket person. I was like, oh, gosh, that's pretty funny.
Got you.
Yeah. So after he does that, he starts fighting off a couple of the other ones. Goes over, is like smacking one, and then all of a sudden he's like, ow, like it hurt his hand. Because obviously Steven's not used to being physical like that, to fighting and everything. So right after they think they've gotten the last of them, one jumps up on the side, grabs Mark, starts to drag him down. Steven decides to be the hero, jumps on him, pulls him off Mark, but falls off the boat with him.
So, but you think that, he's able to run and catch up to the boat, right?
Yeah, it's one of those moments too where you feel like whenever like we saw Layla earlier when she got dragged down by the zombie, the mummy thing. Like when someone falls over a cliff, you're like, oh, they're just gonna be hanging off the side. They're gonna be fine.
Right.
But no, this one he's down on there. You're like, oh, okay. Well, then you see they flash him. Okay, get up. Yeah, just run. Then
he doesn't really run.
He tries.
He tries, but like his legs turn into like paperweights.
Yeah,
big weights, and he can't move them. as you see on my thumbnail, is what he ends up becoming is
Yes.
a sand
Statue.
sand statue
Which
there in the Dua.
basically felt like a little bit of how Han Solo gets capsulated or whatever, where he's like frozen.
Almost.
Kind of felt similar to that for me.
Almost.
So yeah, and then the pose he's doing when he's reaching his hand out is the same pose that Crowley was doing, the golden statue that he spoke with earlier in the season. So it's kind of, I don't know what the tie-in there. It was just kind of a foreshadowing moment, I guess, of that being the pose.
Yeah. And then I instantly at that point the scales bounced.
Yeah.
I read into that as that was Mark finally letting Steven go, and because he was able to bring himself to a whole with everything that happened.
Yeah, accept it all.
Bounced the scale.
Yeah.
No longer needing Steven. And
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Right.
Which is sad because obviously, like, you know, we love the Steven character. He's great.
Steven character.
And we hope he comes back in some way. I think that'd be cool, but I don't know how. But yeah, after the scales balance, all of a sudden it transitions straight into the the Aru, whatever it's called, the Field of Reeds. You see him in this like golden field, and then it cuts to black. So yeah, super sad. Like
sad way to end it.
And it's also
with only one episode left. You're like, what?
Yeah. Excuse me. The Field of Reeds or the Steven dying part was also foreshadowed by the little kid, though, in the very first episode, when he walks in and she says, "Did it hurt when you were rejected from the Field of Reeds?" And he was just like, "Well, I couldn't have been rejected because I'm not dead."
I'm not dead.
So again, just a massive foreshadow of that what's going to happen. So yeah, pretty intense one. And no idea where they're going to go from here. Harold's wreaking havoc up in the upper world.
Obviously, Harold has released Amit.
Yeah. How's that going to get reversed?
Yeah. I'm assuming we'll pick back up with Layla at some point. But how does Mark get out of the Field of Reeds?
Yeah.
When they were at the gate, and that's what their plan was. But he ends up in the Field of Reeds. So my understanding is once you're at the Field of Reeds, you're dead, but you're able to move on into the good part of the afterlife.
But they're still tying back into the ancestral plane. The Black Panther goes there, but then is able to return. So the Field of Reeds maybe has its own kind of version of that where you can go there, but you can return back to your body.
Yeah.
So that's I feel like could be another kind of tie-in there. So yeah, there were a couple times in this episode where I thought, kind of just changing topics here randomly. Sorry, I just saw on my note the Jake character. I kept thinking we were gonna see the third personality here a couple times. Like
don't know just if we'll ever see it.
A couple every time, and they kept saying like we need to fully reveal everything that's going on here. Like everyone to be really honest with each other. Like okay, this has got to be them saying like they both need to find out about this third version. When they first showed the scene where he was standing at the car drinking, and Steven's like, "Do you remember this?" And Mark at first seems like he doesn't remember. He's like, "No," but like I thought he was gonna be like, "No, I don't know this either." And that's when it was gonna be like, "Oh, that's him. This is the other version." But then clearly it was just Steven or Mark just being like, "No, he doesn't need to know. He doesn't need to know about this yet. So I'm just gonna play it off like it's nothing." And then the follow up to that scene when he's walking away and he's finally like falling down, and then he transitions into Steven there. I thought that was going to be the first reveal of Mark or of Steven. Like that was when he created Steven, maybe. I don't know. Because, he was drinking, he was standing by a car, and in the comics, there's actually I think there was a cab in the background of that scene too. And in the comics, this Mark character, Jake Lockley character, was a
cab driver,
rough cab driver, basically. I'm like, it felt like that's where the scene was going there, but it didn't.
Nope, never did.
Padme, what's going on, Padme?
Come on,
Just
Padme.
saying,
Cam
I love
came in
how
to see.
Wanda is still on your setup. Oh yeah, she's here for good. She's here for keeps. Although we'll see what happens
Cam
in
says
yeah.
intense, but with the most limited Moon Knight. I honestly still don't like it. You know what? You are not in the minority. I feel like it is a 50-50 split for people who either really like Moon Knight or don't like Moon Knight. So I kind of felt that we're just over an hour, but I do want to leave it open for a few more minutes for questions or thoughts or anything like that for everybody else because we are now at the end of the episode. Um, DTM says, "Yeah, I liked the episode, but I didn't expect the whole thing to be in his plane." Agreed. I didn't either. I thought them both finding out about Jake was part of what was needed to balance the
Yeah,
scales.
same.
Yeah. The Jake thing would have been nice. I think it's more of a hinted at thing than
The other part I thought was going to be hinted at Jake was all the bodies in the cafeteria. I didn't. I thought maybe like he was gonna be like, oh, I didn't kill all these people. I don't know who these are, and that could have been Jake.
That's not what he said.
The Jake, but no, that wasn't it either. So I was like, okay, I guess they're really just gonna tease us with this one.
Just teasing it more so. Like, yeah, there's a third personality, but we're not gonna say who it is, and we're not gonna really talk. We're not gonna go in depth about it.
Yeah,
I think the closest we got was in the office scene when he's kind of had the beat up
yeah,
nose and
that
he's like, oh yeah, I think
and the
that was the close
sarcophagus too. That was
in a sarcophagus.
yeah,
There's another sarcophagus there. I thought also that sarcophagus could have been maybe
Khonshu.
Khonshu
Yeah, that could be
more
true
so than
too.
Jake,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So, anybody on your side got anything to add comment wise or anything?
Padme saying there might be a Wanda Fortnite skin coming soon, or is there one
Yes,
coming?
I heard there's
Is that a
something
thing?
for a Doctor
I
Strange
figured there's
Fortnite skin or
probably
something like
Doctor
that.
Strange, yeah, with it coming
I've
out.
also heard on the 4th of May, or May the 4th,
May the fourth be with you.
There's supposed to be some Star Wars skin coming out for Fork Knife.
Fortnite. Maybe one of these days I'll break it out again. I've hopped on and played a few times, but not much.
We probably need to get another Among Us night going. Those used to be fun.
Yeah,
those are great during.
Padme was talking about that in her stream last night that we want to play Among Us again. I was like, I'm down.
Yeah.
So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've played that. Probably
a good minute.
Probably been over a year at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think the last time I played with you guys.
Yeah, that's when I played last. Last time we got the band together. So we'll have to see what we can do. I'm sure we can pick out a night.
Figure something out.
Yeah.
Figure something out.
Cool. Yeah, chat. Anybody got anything else before we sign off? Otherwise,
otherwise we'll keep true to our word and keep it right about an hour like we have been.
Yep. And next week we'll be back with Cam. Are we gonna we're not gonna do are we gonna do a separate one of just breaking down episode 6 or just do the full with him?
We're just gonna do the full.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do the full.
We'll do our full season overview with Cam, our comic specialist.
Comic book specialist who does not like the series.
Yeah, who confirmed does not enjoy the series. I personally have been enjoying it. Depending on how the finale breaks down, ranking wise, it could
determine the level of
We'll go through our rankings. We usually talk about that in our breakdowns once the series is over. So we'll break down where everything's at for us. So I think that's gonna do it.
Everybody's schedule looks like. I would, if we can start earlier than 9, I'd love to.
Yeah,
9 my time.
Yeah, I'm off work at I'm off at 3:30. So
yeah, I'd usually get home about.
I could start as early as 4:00 if we needed to. So that'd be about 7. Yeah. 7:30, 8.
So we'll get with Cam and see what the earliest he can jump on.
Okay.
And then when is the MOM spoiler talk?
Multiverse of
Madness.
That'll be in the same stream.
In the same stream, man. We'll actually, because all 3 of us we have watched it this weekend. As long as all 3 of us make it this weekend to the movies, and what I mean, all 3 of us, we're basically waiting on Cam. Cam is the wild card on this.
Yeah, he was saying he might not be able to see it until Sunday, I think.
Sunday, yeah.
So
I feel like there should be 2 more episodes after how this one. Yeah, they spent the episode and a half in the duat. I feel like they should have. They should. I don't know. It just felt like it felt long.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
for
they had to leave it on some kind of cliffhanger on how they were going to get back. I don't know. I don't know. This just felt really long.
yeah, and especially like we were talking about earlier, there hasn't been a lot of seeing him in the Moon Knight
Mm-hmm.
character. So this basically more so feels just like an origin series, and we're not really getting Moon Knight
Wait a minute.
yet.
I get off work at 9, so I'm stoked. 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. because that changes a lot. Like if you're off at 9 a.m. and you get to sleep and then wake up and ready to go whenever we are, that's great. But 9 p.m. that means we have to wait for you to get home and get ready. But we'll figure all that out. We'll chat throughout the week to kind of get everybody's time frame down.
Alrighty.
9 p.m. 9 p.m. Monday. Can't okay. We'll hit you offline. I'll hit you offline. We'll talk about it. That
And by
means
hit you, we mean literally hit you.
like yeah. Doing.
Alrighty, well, thank you all for joining us today for another breakdown, and
Yep.
we'll see you guys all next week with even more.
Yep. Yep.
All
Until
right.
then.
Later, everybody.